Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Council meeting of the 26th of May 2025. Before we commence the meeting, I request that all mobile telephones are turned off or switched to silent. Thank you. We'll now commence by reading the Acknowledgement of Country. I call upon Councillor Pattis to read the Acknowledgement of Country.
I acknowledge the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people as the traditional owners and original custodians of this land and pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and the elders from other communities who may be here today.
Thank you. My name is Councillor Sophie Tawney and I'm the Mayor of Boroondara City Council. I'll start by introducing my fellow councillors. Seated to my left at the horseshoe table in the council chamber are Councillor Lisa Hollingsworth, Councillor Michael Nolan, Councillor Felicity Simfield. Then seated to my right, we have Councillor Victor Franco, Councillor Mal Osborne-Smith, Councillor Rob Baillieu, Councillor John Friend Pereira, and Councillor Chris Pattis. And we have Councillor Shimmer Abuki attending virtually on the screen behind me. I also acknowledge in attendance this evening our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Philip Storer, and our Manager of Governance and Legal, Mr. Brian Wee. There are other officers in attendance tonight and they will be introduced as required. Please note the council meeting is being live streamed on the council YouTube page, so you can watch proceedings of the meeting, councillor deliberations and voting. The meeting will also be recorded and made available on the council website as soon as practicable after the meeting. I will now move to apologies. Mr. Wee, are there any apologies for this evening?
Through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Galt is an apology this evening.
Thank you. We will now move to item 2, the adoption and confirmation of the minutes of the council meeting held on the 28th of April 2025. Councillors, can I please have a motion to adopt and confirm the minutes? Councillor Hollingsworth.
As circulated, thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Baillieu.
So seconded, Chair.
Councillors, is anyone opposed? I will now put the motion. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. We will now move to item 3 on the agenda, declaration of conflict of interest. Councillors and council officers, are there any conflicts of interest that you wish to foreshadow for the matters on the agenda tonight? Councillor Pattis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a conflict of interest for item 9.1 and it's a material conflict of interest.
Thank you, Councillor Pattis. Please raise a conflict of interest when we reach the matter. Moving on to item 4 on the agenda, deputations, presentations, petitions and public submissions. Petitions. Mr. Wee, are there any petitions?
Yes, Madam Mayor, through you, there's one petition this evening. It's in relation to access to Baldwin Road from the corner of Henry and Johns Streets.
Councillors, is anyone prepared to move a motion in relation to the petitions as appearing on the screen? Councillor Pattis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Baillieu.
So seconded, Chair.
Councillors, is anyone opposed? I will now put the motion. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. We will now move to item 5, the informal meetings of councillors. Councillors, is anyone prepared to move a motion in relation to informal meetings of councillors as appearing on screen? Councillor Nolan.
Happy to accept the officer's recommendation.
To move a motion?
Move a motion.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Osborne-Smith?
Yes, happy to second, Mayor.
Councillors, is anyone opposed? I will now put the motion. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. We will now move to item 6, public question time. Council encourages the submission of public questions prior to 12 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Questions submitted prior to 12 noon will be provided with a detailed verbal response as well as a response in writing. Those submitted after 12 p.m. will receive a verbal response if possible, but will otherwise be taken on notice for a more comprehensive written response to be provided in due course. Mr Wee, do we have any public questions?
Yes, Madam Mayor, through you. This evening we have two questions from two members of the community, one question each.
Thank you for the questions. All questions have been allowed in accordance with Chapter 2 of the Governance Rules. All questions will receive a written response in due course. The first question is from Carol Hunt on the subject of Myrtle Macleay Park Master Plan. When will the proposed master plan for Macleay Myrtle Park be released to the community? The original date was by the end of 2024. Then it was delayed and changed to early April 2025. Could the council confirm a date for it to be released? I call upon the Director of Places and Spaces to respond to this question.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Subject to council resolution, we expect to have the consideration of the draft Myrtle Macleay Master Plan to be released to the community for consultation in June of this year.
Thank you, Mr Freer, and thank you for your question, Ms Hunt. Second question is from Ian Hundley, and the subject is council procedures to ensure the maintenance of uniformly aligned residential property frontages. For the purpose of maintaining uniformly aligned property frontages in residential streets so affected, does council now have an established procedure to ensure that the reassignment of part of the road reserve into such residential properties is able to be secured legally as a matter of course where that part of the road reserve contiguous with these properties has been occupied in error by their owners in years gone by? I call upon the Acting Chief Financial Officer to respond to this question.
Thank you, Chair. Council acknowledges that this is a complex legacy issue, particularly in parts of Balwyn North, where encroachments onto road reserves occurred decades ago. While this is not widespread across a municipality, it does require careful consideration. At present, Council does not apply a blanket or automatic process for reassigning road reserve land to adjoining owners. Instead, Council assesses each case on its individual merits through a statutory process, which is guided by Council's discontinuance of roads and reserves policy. Although precinct-based solutions have been explored in some areas, there is currently no endorsed approach for addressing multiple properties at once. Council continues to consider these matters in a fair and consistent manner when they arise. Thanks for your question.
Thank you, Ms Allen. Thank you also for your question, Mr Huntley. We'll move to item 7, notices of motion. Mr Wee, do we have any notices of motion?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there are no notices of motion this evening.
We will now move to item 8, the presentation of officer reports. Councillors, I believe tonight it is most appropriate for item 8.2, Draft Revenue and Rating Plan 2025 to 29, endorsement for public submission, to be presented as the last item. This will allow for the presentation of item 8.5, Balwyn North Special Rate and Charge Scheme 2025 to 2030, to be presented first. Councillors, do I have consent to change the order of business for tonight to allow item 8.2 to be presented last? Do any councillors object? No, we will continue with the agenda. Thank you. Moving on to item 8.1, the March Quarterly Performance Report. This item will be introduced by Nigel Morris, Director of Customer and Transformation.
Thank you, Mayor. Each quarter, Council produces a quarterly performance report, which outlines our performance and progress towards the Burundara Community Plan. Tonight, we are presenting the January to March 2025 Quarterly Performance Report. The overall financial position as at 31st of March 2025 remains satisfactory. The year-to-date surplus of $92.14 million is per the budget due to the striking of the full annual rates in August 24 to raise our major income source and expenditure occurring throughout the year after that. The surplus result will reduce over the course of the year as Council continues to deliver to our community. We are also on track with our performance indicators, major initiatives and local government performance reporting framework measures. The table report provides detailed comments on each of these areas, highlighting our achievements and areas for continued focus. I welcome your questions.
Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillor Friend Pereira.
Okay. Thank you very much. I would just like to, give me 1 second. I've lost my notes. Yeah. There was mention in the report of the use of an AI chatbot to assist with parking permits. Could you explain how that operated and the success ensuing from it, please?
Through the Mayor. What the chatbot did when Council decided last year to have, instead of having 4 free permits, it went down to 2 permits, and you had to pay for 3 and 4 if you chose to. When we sent out the notices, we knew that there would be lots of people asking inquiries in that matter, so we built the chatbot, or the bot, to actually have a look at the emails and to determine exactly what people were asking for, and then to automatically process them. What we found was it was able to process automatically about 7,000 of these items that came through, which produced significant savings. We worked out if we didn't have the bot having a look at these emails, we would have had to probably get about 11 people in for the peak period, and we're able to get that down to 3 and reduce even those 3 people soon after that. It worked really successfully. Great question.
Thank you. And I think a real sign of the innovation that's been delivered through the Transform programme, Transform Burndower programme. I've one more question under theme 4 in relation to the strategic indicators on planning. I see that year on year we've gone from 33 days to 32 days for approving planning permits. I'm just wondering how this compares with the sector and how you've managed to achieve such a good result.
Thanks through yourself, Mayor. Happy to answer that question. There has been a number of process improvements put in place over the last couple of years to improve the way that we've gone about assessing planning applications, to improve the timeframes. There are also some process and system improvements, including bringing on online applications, more online processing of those applications. There has also been a reduction in planning applications, which has enabled the reduction in the backlog of those applications as well. So it certainly put us in a stronger position to deal with applications in a faster period. We rank in the mid-range amongst the councils, so we certainly are not in the bottom 50%. And we aren't actually at the top. We're in the mid-range of comparable councils.
Can I ask one follow-up? It's interesting, obviously, with all the planning changes that are occurring at a state government level, and one of the things that's often said is that it's delay of the planning processes at council, but I think this quarterly report clearly illustrates that that's not the case. Have your team seen any changes in behaviour relating to planning permits in light of the state planning changes?
Again, through yourself, Mayor, there's probably a couple of comments. The planning application system is quite complex, and the assessments that we undertake at Boroondara with the various overlays and controls mean that many of those applications take a little bit longer to get through and assess and consider than applications in more straightforward locations. We also take time to negotiate a better outcome at Boroondara than what some other councils do. So we don't take a pure and strict consider the application and resolve it or decide it. We actually seek to get a better outcome, and sometimes that can take a little bit longer. So the approaches that we take, in our view, leads to better outcomes, but there certainly is no evidence to suggest that the delay in applications is causing any major delay in the delivery of housing on the ground.
Thank you, Mr Walker. Councillors, is anyone prepared to move a motion? Councillor Pattis.
Madam Mayor, I'm pleased to move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Pattis. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Nolan.
to second the motion.
To assist the mover, is anyone opposed? Councillor Pattis, as the mover, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it's pleasing to see the council continues to perform as we expect, and also the areas where things are going off target have been nicely addressed by the officers. So really good to see the detail and also the outcomes that we're having in the council. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. We'll now move to item 8.3, Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation, Planning and Environment Act 1987. This item will be introduced by Brian Wee, Manager of Governance and Legal.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor, this report seeks for Council to resolve to appoint and authorise about 55 officers with powers under the Planning and Environment Act to conduct their functions. They primarily relate to entry of properties, inspecting records, and requesting, for example, requesting evidence of land ownership. The appointment and authorisation is updated because of changes to the staffing. Happy to take any questions.
Councillors, are there any questions of officers? No questions. Councillors, is anyone prepared to move a motion? Councillor Friend Pereira.
I'm happy to move the motion as the officer's recommendation.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Baillieu.
So seconded, Chair.
To assist the mover, is anyone opposed? Councillor Friend Pereira, as the mover, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, I think this is absolutely core that we have this power delegated to the staff so that they can carry out the functions.
I'll now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. We'll now move to 8.4, Instrument of Delegation from Council to the Chief Executive Officer. This item will be introduced by Brian Wee, Manager of Governance and Legal.
Through you, Madam Mayor, this report seeks councils to review and update the delegation from Council to the Chief Executive Officer. The delegation needs to be updated within 12 months of an election, and this is why it's come before Council. There is one primary change, which is to put a cap on quantum in terms of the CEO's delegation to approve statutory insurance and charges. Happy to take any questions.
Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillors, is anyone prepared to move a motion? Councillor Baillieu?
So moved.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Osborne-Smith.
Happy to second that, Mayor, thank you.
To assist the mover, is anyone opposed? Councillor Baillieu, would you like to speak to the motion?
I think it speaks for itself, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. We will now move to item 8.5, Balwyn North Special Rate and Charge Scheme 2025 to 2030. This item will be introduced by Kate McCackey, Director of Community Services.
Thank you, Chair. This report summarises feedback and proposes next steps regarding the proposal for a new 5-year Balwyn North Shopping and Business Centre Marketing and Development Fund. Just let me get to my notes. So in light of the feedback received during the exhibition period, this report is recommending that Council does not proceed with the proposed scheme, and this includes consideration of provisions outlined in section 163B.6 of the 1989 Local Government Act, which states that you need to have a majority of the properties in the rateable area, if the majority of properties in the rateable area object, then council can't proceed with the scheme. The fact that we received responses to the notification process of about 50.7% of objections, that all submissions relating to the proposed scheme were not in support of it, and that the North Balwyn Traders Association revised position does not support the introduction of the proposed scheme. So in the sum of all the above, the report is not recommending that we proceed. And the recommendation is on the screen behind you. Thank you.
Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillor Pattis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to confirm, so if one of those properties had not objected and in fact had accepted the scheme, we would have a different outcome here. It's basically, it was that close, was it?
Perhaps through you, Madam Chair, my response to that would be to say that you wouldn't necessarily have a different outcome. You would be thinking about a different perspective as to why you might or might not continue or discontinue the rate. So it may well be that if the outcome were not determined by the numbers, you would then be looking at the question of there being a strong lack of support for the rate to go forward in any case. And on that basis, combined with a committee not willing to continue, you might still come to the view that there's no merit in continuing with the rate itself. So you might have shifted the considerations, if you like.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And just one more question. Is it fair to say, in summary from all the submissions objecting to this scheme, that we could say, in general, people are objecting because of the impact in terms of their costs? They felt that it was an extra cost, that they didn't see value, or they didn't understand the value in terms of the extra cost imposed on their business. Would it be fair to say that was the main reason why they're objecting?
Thanks. Look, it's a range of different types of feedback we received. That was certainly one of them, though, Councillor Pattis. I think there's just general reference to the general sort of retail climate and how tough it is at the moment. So any cost that is discretionary was seen to be perhaps something that wasn't supported right now. So that was another kind of factor. And then the actual perception, as you say, of the benefit to businesses in terms of how much additional foot traffic it got through the centre was also questioned.
Madam Mayor, if I can just say as a general comment, it's a shame that there was so much objection, because we do have shopping strips in our city that don't have a scheme like this, and I think would benefit, personally, I think they would benefit from a scheme like this in terms of pooling their funding to be able to improve the marketability of their centre.
Point of order, Chair. It's
Thank
question
you,
time.
Councillor Pattis. I think he's just finished. Councillor Friend Pereira, do you have a question?
Yes, a question. Ms. McCarthy, for the benefit of those online and in the gallery, could you maybe just explain how the special rate schemes function in terms of council's role and the Traders Association's role in handling the funds raised?
Certainly. So council is the entity that's responsible for levying the funds from properties within an identified area. So our role is to levy the funds with good governance. So anytime you raise money from the community, that's a very significant governance issue. We then work in partnership with the local trader association, who then administers the funds based on an agreed business plan outlining what they're going to spend the money on. And once that is agreed, then that money is is allocated at regular intervals throughout the year.
So just for absolute clarity, this isn't an additional revenue for council, this is funds that we raise and then transfer on to the associations.
That's correct, Councillor. Yep.
Councillor Pattis, do you have a question?
No, I was just flagging that I was intending to move the motion if there are no other questions.
Often, Councillor Pattis, we let the ward councillors move motions, but
Actually, I stand corrected, Madam Mayor. I'll let the ward councillor move.
Thank you, Councillor Pattis. Councillors, is anyone prepared to move a motion? Councillor Nolan.
I'd like to move a motion that the officer's recommendation be accepted.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Simfield.
Thank you.
To assist the mover, is anyone opposed? No. Councillor Nolan, would you like to speak to the motion as the mover?
Yes, briefly, look, I thank the officers, not all of which are here tonight, for the intermediary work they've done with the North Balwyn traders in coming to this point. It wasn't an easy decision for the traders. I think to sort of partly answer Councillor Pattis's one of his concerns, I think if they'd needed more, I think there would have been more people come to the table. So it was a bit of a scramble to get the formalities to exit done with all the paperwork. I don't want to put words into the North Balwyn traders' mouths, but I think that would be my judgment. I think they are keen, the Trades Association's keen to remain incorporated, keen to remain in touch with Burundara staff that will be helping them through, you know, if they want to apply for a grant or they want to do other things, that they're going to remain remain in the loop, remain inside the tent in that respect. So I'd commend this motion to the councillors.
Councillor Simfield, as a seconder, would you like to speak?
Thank you. With your indulgence, and I appreciate that it's unopposed, the North Balwyn traders do straddle the ward boundary between Bellevue and Cotham, and I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank and acknowledge Anna Salzano, the President of the Traders Association for the last 10 years, and the committee there for their efforts. It's not an easy decision. I respect their decision that this is right for them right now, and will support them and be willing to revisit this and so forth if they have a change of mind and they decide that they do want to reintroduce this at some stage. So I thank my colleagues for their support.
I'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. We'll now move to item 8.2, which is the Draft Revenue and Rating Plan 2025 to 29, endorsement for public exhibition. This item will be introduced by Sapphire Allen, Acting Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you, Chair. Mayors and councillors, tonight I'm pleased to present the proposed Revenue and Rating Plan for 2025 to 29 for Council's consideration for public consultation. The Revenue and Rating Plan is a key requirement under the Local Government Act and outlines Council's approach to generating revenue needed to deliver services, maintain infrastructure and support the priorities set out in the Council Plan and Community Plan. The plan proposes the continued use of a uniform rate and includes updated commentary on waste charges, the transition to the Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund, financial hardship support and the application of concessions under the Cultural and Recreational Lands Act. A new section has been added for non-rateable land and confirming that both the municipal charge and differential rates will be reviewed annually as part of the budget process. Public consultation on this plan will run from 28 May through to 11 June 2025. Hearing of public submissions is scheduled for the 16th of June, where members of the public can have their say. A final version will be presented to Council for adoption on 30th of June 2025. Thank you and happy to take any questions.
Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillor Friend Pereira.
Thank you, and through you. Can I just get clarification as to what income is foregone from the unrateable properties and some examples of what those unrateable properties are?
Happy to take that on notice and come back to you, thanks.
Councillor Hollingsworth.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have two questions, if I may. The first one, I think, might be for the Manager of Governance. It's just with regard to the Local Government Act is referred to in this document to the 2020 Act, but then on page 23, for example, it talks about interest charges on overdue rates, and that refers to Section 172 of the Local Government Act 1989. And I just thought to help fellow councillor colleagues and members of the gallery, if you could explain why the Local Government Act is still referring in two different sections, and if you know when it is likely to all become under 2020.
Both acts are currently in force, the 2020 Act and the 1989 Act. So there are parts of the legislation primarily dealing with rates that still exist in the 1989 Act. Unfortunately, I do not know when the state government will see fit to combine the acts or make an amendment to the Act.
Thank you for that, because I just thought it could be confusing when people do read with the two different acts in the one document. Let's hope it's all merged soon in the years ahead. And the other question I have is with regard to the last agenda item. Now that we know that the Balwyn North Activity Centre has determined not to be a part of the special rates and charges scheme, I would just like it noted, and I'll move an amendment motion at the end, recognising that we need to now take that out of this particular document. So that's all my questions. Thank you.
No further questions. Councillors, is anyone prepared to move a motion? Councillor Hollingsworth.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As foreshadowed, I'd just like to request we include an amendment on the officer recommendation. Pre-prepared, thank you very much. Now, if councillors agree, I believe that indicates that it will be depicted in the minutes, annexed to the minutes, that the Balwyn North Activity Centre will be removed from the rates scheme. If we're all happy with that? Then
happy to move that motion?
Very happy.
Thank you, Councillor
motion.
Hollingsworth. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Franco.
Yeah, happy to second.
To assist the mover, is anyone opposed? Councillor Hollingsworth, would you like to speak to the motion as the mover?
Thank you very much. I just wanted to acknowledge there's been a huge volume of work going into this document, and I wanted to thank, obviously, our acting finance officer and governance team and everyone else involved in composing this document. And I find it's very user-friendly, and I thank you for explaining all the various terminologies and complexity, what is never a simple rate system. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Thank you. We'll now move to general business. Item 9.1, leave of absence of Councillor Galt. Councillors, I'm in search of for a mover for the following motion as it's about to appear on the screen behind me. Do I have a mover for the motion on the screen behind me? Councillor Osborne-Smith.
Happy to move the motion as portrayed on the screen. Thank you, Mayor.
And do I have a seconder? Councillor Franco.
Happy to second.
Is any councillor opposed? I'll now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. We'll now move to the next item, leave of absence, Councillor Pattis. Councillor Pattis has declared his conflict of interest and has left the chamber. Councillors, I'm in search for a mover of the following motion as appearing on the screen behind me. Do I have a mover? Councillor Baillieu.
So moved.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Osborne-Smith.
Happy to second that. Thanks, Mayor.
Is any councillor opposed? I'll put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Councillors, are there any other items of general business? Councillor Hollingsworth.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With Councillor Bookie here, she may wish to speak, but in the event, I know she's attending remotely today. She did ask me if I'd mention the Canterbury Community Centre Open Day that was held last weekend, and she just wanted to acknowledge the amazing legacy the neighbourhood centres do, and she wanted me to thank them for a very successful open day. Councillor Bookie, did you want to speak yourself, or? Yeah, due to the remoteness of her attendance tonight, she may not be able to hear, so I'll just convey that on her behalf. Thank you.
Councillor Bookie, would you like to add to that?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Hollingsworth. Yes, I do want to congratulate the tenants who occupy the Canterbury Community Precinct for a very successful open day. I also want to say that it's delightful to see that that precinct has really become a very valuable place for people in Manly Ward, that there are so many tenants there who respond to the needs of many people who live in the precinct, that the activities and the tenants there provide support for younger people, older people, vulnerable people. It was a very successful open day, and I thank my fellow councillors as well, Councillor Hollingsworth and the Mayor, Councillor Tawney, for also supporting the day. And I very much congratulate everyone who was involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bookie. Councillor Baillieu.
I just wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate our staff on an exceptionally well-run Ida Hobbit week and day. There were a series of events that were very well attended, and we've had nothing but positive feedback. Very impressed.
Thank you, Councillor Baillieu. Any other items of general business? Any items of urgent business? Councillors, there are no items of confidential business, so this brings us to the end of the order of business for this meeting. Thank you all who have joined us in the gallery and online this evening, and I now declare the council meeting closed.